STF welcomes you all on the webinar on feasibility analysis and pilot demonstration on electrification of goods transport in industrial corridors in North India. This webinar will present key findings and policy recommendations from the pilot project, which explored the feasibility on electric trucks for cargo movement in northern India, focusing on necessary charging infrastructure and adjustments to the existing policies. This is the glimpse of today's agenda. We'll be having the welcome address by Mr. Reggie Kumar Pillai, President ISGF, followed by the presentation on the report by Ms. Reena Suri, Executive Director, India Smart Grid Forum. We'll also be having the panel discussion with our moderator, Mr. Anand Singh, and esteemed panelists, followed by the vote of thanks. So with that, before we dive into the webinar, I would like to announce some ground rules, requesting all the participants to kindly keep your audio on mute. Please do not unmute or turn on your video during the presentation or while the panel discussion. You may send any questions, messages, or suggestions in the chat box. We'll be taking them in the end of the webinar. With that, I would like to invite Mr. Reggie Kumar Pillai, President ISGF and Chairman Global Smart Energy Federation, for the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the participants from around the world for attending this webinar today. It's indeed my pleasure, honor to welcome you all for this webinar. And I would like to start with thanking Shakti Sustainable Energy Foundation for authorizing this project through a grant to conduct this trial of running electric trucks in the industrial corridors in North India. We started with an extensive study of the route selection. It took over a year for the project to be completed. And we finally decided to do it on the route of Delhi to Ludhiana and Delhi to Chandigarh, and part of it is common. And also the project biggest challenge was getting an electric truck. You have buses, you have two-wheeler, you have three-wheeler, you have car. Everything today in the electric mobility domain, it's there. Chargers are also, you will find, but unfortunately trucks are not there. So, and also intercity bus services are also very limited. Some operators are operating, but their charging infrastructure they are managing themselves. It is not open to others. So our teams have done extensive survey on the Delhi, Ludhiana, and Delhi, Chandigarh routes, and we found out that there are chargers, existing chargers we could utilize, but availability of truck was a major challenge, and with great difficulty we've been able to solve. We run two different trucks. One is a converted truck, a Tata 407 converted from diesel to electric by IX Energy. IX Energy team is here in the webinar. They will talk more about that. And that was first of its kind of experience in India, converting a truck from and getting it certified by ARAI. So it was a major achievement. IX team really needs compliments, and we've been able to work with them to get this ARAI certification and green number plate. And another truck, IPL Tech, another company, they have a bigger truck which can pull 40 feet container that we deployed from somewhere in Haryana, beyond Gurgaon, the point from where we have transported the goods of Mahindra Logistics, and they were also supporting this program. So Mahindra Logistics Center, major logistics center depot which is there in Haryana. From there we have transported material to another Mahindra Logistics Center in Ambala and to Ludhiana using that 40 feet container along with the IPL Tech truck, which would and the charging for that was a challenge actually, because that is a GBT charger and a bigger size battery. On the route, there were many GBT chargers, but we managed somehow. And the other small truck, the converted truck, which is Tata 407 converted to electric, that charging was not a challenge at all because there are several charging points both sides of the road, Delhi to Chandigarh and back here again. From the same Mahindra Logistics uh, depot to Chandigarh, we have transported their materials. So this trial, we ran multiple trips using both the trucks during the month of December 2023. And we have come across several challenges and several lessons, which will be presented by Reena in the next presentation. And also you will hear from our team. And our draft report is already available on our website. We have made several recommendations about the electricity connection to mandatory policies for moving certain categories of cargo in certain routes, etc. So we need policy intervention, otherwise trucks will not come. One of the main challenge people been talking about was about the turnaround time. So a truck going from Delhi to Ludhiana, if it is standing there for another couple of hours for charging, their turnaround time increases. That was a challenge of the cargo operators. But we found that such fears are not really major problem, because a 40 feet container to unload it, it takes few hours, and that's the same time if we establish charging station in this logistics centers, while unloading itself the vehicle can be charged. That's the kind of infrastructure we had to plan and we had to create. And with that, the cost we have calculated, the cost per kilometer per ton is much less, or almost 1/5 or 1/6 of that of a diesel truck. So it has several benefits. And as you know, a truck emission is equivalent to almost a dozen cars. So electrification of goods movement is of highest importance from the perspective of moving to a net zero country. And once again, welcoming you all for this interesting webinar, first of its kind. Nobody else has run intercity electric cargo, electric trucks for cargo movement in India until we have done it in December 2023. So welcoming you all once again, and thank you. And please post your questions, if any, in the comment box. Over to you, Reena, for your presentation.
Thank you so much, sir, for the welcome address. I would now like to invite Ms. Reena Suri, Executive Director, India Smart Grid Forum, for the theme presentation on the report. I would just like to introduce ma'am. Ma'am brings over 20 years of experience in the energy sector, and she is responsible for the research projects, advisory services, business development, training and capacity building programs, customer outreach activities, members relations and finances of India Smart Grid Forum. So with that, I would like to invite Ms. Reena Suri for the presentation.
Thank you so much, Parul. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you so much. I'll quickly share my screen. You can see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, we can see your screen.
So thank you so much, and very good afternoon, good morning, good evening to all. Thank you so much for joining the webinar, and warm welcome. I'd like to take you through the pilot study that India Smart Grid Forum had undertaken with the Shakti Sustainable Energy Foundation as our knowledge partner. And this was to do a feasibility analysis and pilot demonstration to understand how we can electrify the goods transportation in the industrial corridors of northern, particularly, doing a survey around northern India. So as part of this study, ISGF had, just to going back to the background of why this study was initiated, we all know that the Government of India has set a target of to achieve 30% of electrification of country's vehicle fleet by 2030 as part of the pathways that they have set for net zero by 2070. And has also introduced several incentives and policies to accelerate the growth of EV industry in India. And industrial corridors, which generate huge volumes of freight movements, which will increase the carbon emissions going forward, which is already a huge area of concern. And heavy trucks contribute to a significant share of carbon emissions, and electrification of this sector should be taken up on a huge priority. And in the existing Vision 2030 Prime Minister Public Transport Seva program, India is envisaging to have more than 6,000 kilometers of electric highways and replacement of 800,000 diesel buses with electric buses, including 50,000 school buses with this new program. And also the Ministry of Road and Heavy Transport and Highways, they already have plans for developing electric highways to provide clean and green surface transport with world-class facilities for express, electric highway users. So with this kind of planning, it was imperative to actually study what is the current scenario in India of electric trucks and what needs to be done. With that background, ISGF had taken this pilot study, to understand and demonstrate the cargo movement by electric trucks successfully, and to also, the project also involved a very comprehensive study on the feasibility of deployment of electric cargo on, these selected corridors that we had taken. So as I said, the basic scope objective was to understand, how to do it and what will be the benefits of electrifying the trucks and, when we are applying them on the highways. And the scope of the study included that, we selected the routes that we wanted to be included in the pilot project in the northern corridors of India. And we selected the fleet operators who are willing to buy or lease electric trucks for participation in this pilot demonstration. Survey and was conducted, and we selected the electric truck models which we will be, we are deployed during this pilot demonstration, and also electrification of the locations for setting up charging stations was also surveyed while surveying of the route was conducted. And multiple discussions with the electric utilities and estimation of the grid upgrades, charging for providing connections to the identified charging stations was undertaken. Pilot demonstrations of running these trucks was undertaken in the selected corridors. And finally, a recommendation of the appropriate business models for charging charge point operators for high power charging stations on the highway were prepared, and consultations and capacity building of relevant stakeholders to promote electrification of the trucks. And policy recommendations were also put forward for smooth transition of the electric trucks for freight movement. So this study was undertaken in two phases. In the first phase, the trial run was conducted survey was conducted on the major industrial corridors in northern India, and we identified two routes for pilot demonstration for running electric trucks. One was Delhi to Chandigarh, and the other was Delhi to Ludhiana. And second phase, we actually, after shortlisting the electric trucks, we applied the trucks on the selected routes in association with the cargo operators, with the actual cargo dummy as well as actual cargo. So while we were, some of the considerations that were taken for the pilot run logistics were having the, identifying the charging points, which we, during the survey, we identified that ideal distance between two charging stations should be around 100 kilometers. 3 to 4 charging stations were selected on the route for charging of the trucks, and electricity distribution feeders across the highway or we thought one of the outcomes was that these feeders across the highway are of the aerial bunched cables and running on concrete poles with 11 kV and 33 kV rating. So parallelly, we also conducted multiple stakeholder consultations and capacity building exercises. We brought in different stakeholders to talk about, the different plans, the existing policies, the problems and challenges faced by the charge point operators and EV OEMs, fleet operators, and what is the, ask from the government in terms of the right policies going forward for scaling up the electrification of the freight movement in India. And training and awareness of programs for electric truck operators, charge point operators, truck drivers were also conducted as part of this study. Program benefits were also, disseminated for truck drivers. What should be the essential skills and insights for handling electric vehicles and ensuring smooth operations, fostering a safe and eco-conscious driving culture, and also benefits for the fleet operators. That was a key thing that why this transition will benefit the fleet operators and the logistics operators to move from a ICE truck to an electric truck. So as I said, there were two trucks which were applied. One on Delhi, trucks were applied on Delhi-Chandigarh highway, and one was a retrofit truck by IX Energy. Mr. Anshu Van is here with us. He'll be talking more about that. And with this truck, we covered a total distance of 347 kilometers. These are the specs provided. The charging time required was 3 hours, and with this truck, we were able to move. The time taken was about 11 hours to complete the full journey, and on-the-go charging was available with the the truck getting charged through by the at the car charging points. So these are pictures of the charging points that were used during the pilot run. And the other truck was an actual truck which was utilized for Delhi-Ludhiana highway, and it was the total distance covered with this truck was 415 kilometers and average speed of 55 kmph, and charging time on the go, for this truck was about 5 hours. And during the charging stoppage, during the journey, the stoppage time overall was 9 hours, and the journey was completed in about 13 hours. So while we were undertaking this pilot, there were multiple observations and challenges that were also recorded. One was implementing the electric trucks. We faced may face challenges such as high cost and long approvals for high power electricity connections. For utilities to provide for the kind of charging that is required for the trucks, and the limited range of trucks on a single charge. It may restrict their distance, and the lack of charging stations at the warehouse complicates the overall logistics of applying the truck. And however, a significant success has been that the issuance of concessional EV charging tariffs that we already have. by most state electricity regulatory commissions that have been provided. So that helps, managing the overall cost that gets added. But to have the right CBA in place, this also is one of the key benefit that is there. And this change driven, that was driven by this ISGF's efforts to have a single part tariff has really benefited the sector. And some of the other challenges which we thought, which we observed, was range limitations that the truck owners had. While we have electric trucks, limited range on a single full charge restricts the distance a truck driver can cover, and no charging stations at the warehouse. We need to work towards that, so that the starting point could be the warehouse, and then going forward on the go charging options are created. And further, ISGF advocated, that I've already talked about. So what were the key findings of this project? The key observations for electric trucks was that the charging at the warehouse, while we were doing this pilot, we understood that installing a charging point at the warehouse to enable the charging during the loading and unloading of the cargo, which will reduce the round trip time of the truck's operation. And high capacity charging stations, which are lacking at the moment on the routes like Delhi, Chandigarh, Delhi, Ludhiana, they impact the overall trip times. So we have been advocating and in consultation with utilities and charge point operators for having charging stations, of high capacity charging stations on the go on the highway. And battery capacity is also one of the findings that we had, that the limited battery range increases round trip times and enhances in battery capacity are needed to reduce the reliance on frequent charging. And some of the challenge and solutions as part of this study that we found was, one of them was the container standardization is also required. India's common 32 feet truck bodies differ from global 20 to 40 feet standards. And aligning local truck sizes with the international standards will streamline the logistics and warehouse infrastructure. Also, while we were some of the trucks have the payback period for trucks like Rhino and is around 8 years, whereas 7 years for a retrofit Tata 407 electric truck. The overall greenhouse reduction for an Rhino electric truck is about 48%, whereas 68% for a retrofitted truck. So these were some of the key findings of coming out of the project. And also the total cost of ownership for a particular truck is about particularly talking about Tata 407 diesel truck is 14.840 per kilometer, and whereas a retrofitted truck, an electric truck, will cost about 9.120. So with this pilot demonstration, we were able to recommend not only what should be the CBA, what should be the charging infrastructure required, and also the policy recommendations that we have made to the policy makers. And firstly, talking about the financial support, the government should offer direct financial aid to offset the high upfront cost that the logistic operator will face while working towards this transition. And the toll booths, it was also recommended that on the highway, which the toll operators they should have a separate lane for green number plates or have toll exemptions for the electric trucks. That would also be a good incentive for operators to move to electric trucks. Charging structure recommendations were that small vehicles, they use chargers at the terminal and warehouse. Larger vehicles require intermittent fast charging. So chargers, fast charging opportunities more should be created. For LCVs, 50 kilowatt chargers, DC chargers can be put, and MCVs, 50 to 100 kilowatt DC chargers will suffice. And HCVs, we need at least 122 to 240 kilowatt chargers, DC chargers available on the route. And highway, on the highway, installation of 250 kilowatt plus chargers to build fleet operator confidence is very important. And connection timeline is one of the areas which most of the charge point that the operators are pushing for. That they have been they have been dealing with this issue of not getting the connections on time. So we have to ensure that the electric connection for charging stations should not be more than 7 days, so that their overall project timeline should not be hampered. And also charging station space is one of the issues, and recommendation was to provide long-term concessional lease space for charging stations through a transparent process. Should be established. Maybe have one per point window for getting all the right approvals for creation of a charging station is something we are really looking for going forward, and that is one of the key recommendations from this report. And lastly, EV charging infrastructure recommendations from the report are that highway coverage, we need to install charging stations every 25 kilometer on all highways. Cost integration wise, it's important to integrate the charging station into highway construction costs to minimize the overall impact, which is also in some of the corridors we are looking for. Mandating the public sector units undertakings on the highway to install high power charging stations under some of the CSR initiatives that they are working on, and we ISDF also plans to work with some of the PSUs to work with their CSR funding to have this kind of infrastructure in place. For the large factories, they require near highway to set up a high power charging station. And also, one of the recommendation was to mandate the utilities to establish charging stations near substations, on the highway, including cost. The cost can be included in the annual revenue requirement for that. And green energy, promote electric truck charging with green energy for a sustainable transport industry. Discoms require dedicated feeders with the backup for highway public charging stations. And lastly, it's very important to develop policies to encourage electric powertrain adoption in older trucks. So these were some of the recommendations that have come out of this a very extensive study that we have undertaken. And as Mr. Pillai also mentioned, that first of its kind, where actual one retrofitted truck and an electric new truck was supplied. And this report with the detailed report is available on our portal, and the link is also provided at the bottom. You please, we'll also post it on the chat. So please go through that and make use of this study and the outcomes. And that's all from my side. And I'm looking forward to very insightful and discussions on what are the recommendations for all the stakeholders we have brought in as a panelist today going forward. What has been covered here and what more needs to be done to give it a push, for this sector for scaling up electrification of the freight transportation. Thank you so much, and over to you, Parul.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the very insightful presentation for the pilot project. We will be now starting with our panel discussion. And here is the glimpse of our extremely eminent panel. The moderator for this discussion will be Mr. Anand Singh, General Manager with India Smart Grid Forum. Sir has over 18 years of experience in technology, business consulting, and advisory in smart grid and smart city space. And currently, he is responsible for the utilities and urban development projects, including the standardization of EV for India and planning and rollout for EV charging infrastructure for Bangalore and other projects as well. Joining the panel, we have Mr. Tosh Agarwal, Head Electric Cars, CESL, and Sir has over a decade of hands-on experience in the energy efficiency and e-mobility industry within the government and CPSU sector. We have Mr. Ramakrishna Singh, Head of Business Operations, EV Charging with Tata Power. And Sir is responsible for overall EV charging business operations, strategy formulation, concept of commissioning and operations of EV charging infrastructure for home, public and bus segments across India, and digital platform Tata Power Easy Charge. We have Mr. Anil Kaushik, Head E-Bus Charging, Glida. Sir is he's presently having a pan-India charging network of more than 700 plus public charging points and is responsible for development and operations of Glida's charging network and is also looking after the e-bus vertical. We have Mr. Ravindra Mohan, Director, Charge Zone. Sir has also served as the head of strategic alliance and foreign ventures at Gujarat State Fertilizers and Chemical Limited, and as head of corporate strategies at L&T. We have Mr. Anshu Diwan, CEO IX. Sir has over 27 years of experience and with IX Energy is the organization that has worked with us in this project and develops economically viable systems that significantly reduce the fuel consumed in the buses and trucks. Very warm welcome, sir. We have Ms. Priyadarshini Alok, Program Manager, Shakti Sustainable Energy Foundation, and she works in the electric mobility program at Shakti. She has a master's degree in transport planning from the School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi. We have Mr. Mrityunjay Sharma, Consultant, Niti Aayog. Mr. Mrityunjay Sharma has experience in advanced battery storage and renewable energy domain. His proactive attitude in problem solving reflects some roles as the entrepreneur member of the District Skill Committee, Central District Delhi, industry expert at the Institute of Innovation Council at India Institute of Information Technology, Vadodara. So with that, I would like to invite all our eminent speakers to the panel. And again, I would like to hand over the stage to Mr. Anand Singh, the moderator for the session today. But before we begin our panel discussion with our esteemed experts, I would like to mention that as a ground rule, we have a time limit for 7 minutes given to each speaker. And over to you, Anand sir, to take the discussion forward and to the productive and engaging discussion. Over to you, sir.
Yes, you can just, yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Parul. And we talked about what we have done. I'm audible, and am I audible, Parul? Can you confirm?
We can hear you, Anand, but somebody has his mic on. Please,
please mute yourself.
Lavneet Singh ji, please switch off your mic. And I request all the panelists to please switch on your camera if possible, so that and we'll bring you on center stage.
Thank you, Reena, and welcome all the panelists. We have very interesting panel here. Mr. Tosh Agarwal from CSL, Ramakrishna Singh from Tata Power, Anil Kaushik from Glida, Ravindra Mohan from Charge Zone, and Anshu Devan from IX Energy, Priyadarshini Alok from Shakti Foundation, and Mrityunjay from Niti Aayog. So welcome everyone on board. Thank you very much for joining us. We have talked about what we did in last half an hour and more than half an hour. So now I'm very interested to talk about what else can be done. And I would like to go to individual panelists one by one so that we have paucity of time. But I would like to ask lots of questions to all the panelists and explore that what else can be done. So I'll go to every panelist one by one, and then we'll open up for the audience. So now I would request Mr. Tosh Agrawal, who is from CSL. CSL has done lots of work in car charging infrastructure. I mean, if I say they have been pioneer in this, it would not be wrong. So my question is that how do you see the synergy between car and small trucks charging infrastructure? I mean, we have created lots of charging infrastructure across country, and our experience running smaller trucks, I'm talking about the smaller trucks, Tata 407, or maybe the smaller version where we can actually carry 1 ton of load, Tata S and similar electric truck. So how do you see synergy between the charging infrastructure? Can it be shared? I mean, we understand that the occupancy rate is around 3-4% across country. So how we can, utilize the entire infrastructure for small trucks also. So I would request you to give your opinion about this.
Yeah, thank you. So obviously, yes, technologically there is a synergy between all these chargers, like for the cars and the goods trucks. So what we understand is that two type of good trucks which are running in the country. One is the city level trucks and one is the intercity or the interstate movement of the trucks. So the challenge I see in the existing infrastructure which is being developed for the cars, for the charging infrastructure for the cars, they're mostly in those public areas which are not very accessible to the goods trucks. For example, if you talk about malls or like entertainment places, at the parking places of the entertainment public points of interest, what you say, where we try to put up the chargers for the cars that people do come here normally and they'll be able to charge the vehicles. Those are not very accessible to the goods carrier people. Either entry is not allowed or they are very off the route and not in the route. So it can be used obviously technologically, but if you talk about a driver who's running a goods carrier in the city, he'll not prefer to go to that location to charge. So mostly what these people will do is like public charging, because public charging always obviously adds a cost to the whole scenario, and the running cost will increase. So if you see, even in the commercial vehicle segment, earlier they were using these public chargers, but now they have gone to the captive chargers. They have started procuring their own land spaces, putting up their own charges, so they're not paying any premium to the whole to any charge point operator as such. So what we see, like the likes of the Amazons and all these big multinational companies who have started using the smaller goods truck, they're creating hubs so that they have their own charging infrastructure because they have a fixed route in the cities. When you talk about the smaller trucks, so they have very fixed routes. They do not go very off the routes. When you talk about the bigger trucks who are moving on the road on the highways, they would be majorly using the shared charging infrastructure on the petrol pumps or maybe at the dhabas and the restaurants, because technology is same. It's the CCS technology for the same, and it might just be the time might be higher if you are using a 50 kilowatt charger or a 120 kilowatt charger, but it is very compatible, right? So I think the charge point operators here who are actually now majorly focusing and pushing for more charging installations, because as you rightly said, utilization factor is a major component. So if they want to have this utilization factor increased so that the goods people are also using their chargers, it has to be located at a very strategical point so that both the private car users as well as the commercial car users as well as the commercial goods users, they are all able to access it and using it to make the best out of the whole investment.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Now I would request Mr. Ram Krishan Singh, who is from Tata Power. Tata has done lots of work in charging infrastructure. I mean, if I count, they have done thousands of charging infrastructure across country. So what is your plan for large scale charging infrastructure? I mean, it should not be limited to only 60 kilowatt or 80 kilowatt. It should must go up 240 or maybe more than that. So what is your plan for large charging infrastructure, and how do you see it growing in next 5 years? Because your experience last 4 5 years and the numbers you have put on the table in terms of charging infrastructure. So how do you see it growing?
So thank you, Anand, and thank you, ISGF, for having me on this panel. So for the benefit of audience, let me tell you that we have installed over 1 lakh home charging installation across India, 5,000 plus public charger across India, and 1,000 plus bus charging. That is primarily used for those primarily can be used for, apart from the buses, those can be used for the truck or the commercial vehicle charging also. Those are primarily 200 kilowatt or 240 kilowatt charging infrastructure. So we have definitely done a lot of work in transition of energy, and we continue to drive this particular energy transition space, including that green energy or green charging solutions. So we also offer most of our public charging customers having the option of green charging primarily. That is with a small premium which we are paying to Discom, but we are not charging that from the customer. So rather than brown energy, customer can have option of charging his or her car on 100% green or renewable energy. And considering the challenges or this Rina was talking about, which I think ISGF did commendable job to take this initiative, particularly to have the zero emission trucking, and through this pilot, I'm sure there are many initiatives can be taken up for expanding the charging network, and also at the policy level can be very helpful for expediting certain challenges, issues, solving those problems collectively as a CPOs or as a Discom or as a policymakers. And in coming years, I see that the kind of growth happening in vehicle. If you see the last 10 years, okay, so there has been multiple almost 10 to 16x growth in terms of EV penetration globally. Okay, although the China is leading, or European Union is leading and India is also growing very fast. Two-wheeler, three-wheeler segment, you find those electric vehicles almost available everywhere in metros. Delhi is again leading for last mile connectivity from metro to individual houses. So similarly, we are also making sure that we put the charging infrastructure ahead of the vehicles coming in to the road, so that people don't have the anxiety for going ahead for buying the electric vehicle. And if you see the growth of electric vehicle in four-wheeler segment also last compared to last FY to this FY, so I see almost 1.8 to 2x growth. Many of the states is on date, like Kerala or Goa, they have almost more than 20-25% penetration of electric vehicles compared to overall new vehicle bought in that particular state. So I think people are understanding the benefits, not only the tailpipe emission, but overall. Somebody is, I think, unmuted their mic. So, but the overall benefit out of the electrification or electric vehicle penetration or buying electric vehicle. So similarly, I'm sure that this EV trucking primarily, which is a bit left behind, primarily because OEMs are also not taking initiative. I don't see the way passenger vehicles or even the small commercial vehicles. There are many small commercial vehicles are flying on the road, and we are also doing a couple of pilots with many commercial vehicle manufacturers. And like one of your recommendation was that putting up the charging stations across wherever they are unloading the goods. So whether it's Amazon or Flipkart or any other this commercial establishments. So we are also putting up chargers so that by the time they are unloading their trucks and also taking the rest. So that intercity travel, suppose from the go down, which is primarily outer periphery of the metro cities or any of the city, which for coming inside and then going back. So at least they can make a full round and take 2 hour, 3 hour rest and also take the charge their vehicle. So that is another initiative. So we are making sure that we add the number of chargers commensurate to the requirement of public, including into the large or the charging stations. So although we are yet to put up any mega charging station at the public space, those are primarily limited to the with the transport department. But in coming days, we are identifying the suitable locations where in coordination with the this transport operators, so that it has a business case, it has a business model, and so we are definitely on the forefront and will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I would.
And I had some recommendation also, because some of the that Reena has recommended. So 1-2 things I wanted, that like saying that 7 days power connection. So even though Ministry of Power has also already given the recommendation, that in metro cities primarily they said at least within 7 days one should get the connection for the. But considering the practical limitation of the DISCOM, when you need a megawatt load or 500 kilowatt of load, getting connection in 7 days is practically impossible, because you need to procure transformer, cable, and the many other substation equipments. So probably considering the load requirement, we can have that timeline defined, that if need 100 kilowatt, 500 kilowatt, megawatt, 4 megawatt. Suppose you need 4 megawatt, you need to establish the substation at 33 or 66 kV substation. In some of the states, beyond, if you're going beyond 2 megawatt, you need to add up an additional substation. Like in Delhi, you get the power connection up to 4 megawatt at 11 kilowatt. But if you want to have the 5 megawatt load, you need to construct a 33 or 66 kV substations, and that is again a 6 to 9 months job for constructing only a substation. So I think we need to take that view, and maybe also we can take the international experience, what is happening across the globe on this zero emission trucking, or for that. So that can also benefit apart from what ISGF team has recommended.
Thank you very much for this. Now I would move towards Anil Kaushik ji. He is head bus charging Glida. What is your experience in terms of infrastructure uses as a charge point operator, and ROI? I mean, just looking into the occupancy of all charging stations across country. So and one challenge you think is the biggest bottleneck in the entire ecosystem? Over to you, sir. You can unmute yourself and then.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Anand, for inviting us to be part of this esteemed panel and for this discussion. Would like to begin with a short introduction about Glida. We are basically Photon Charge and Drive, perhaps the more popular name while people might be knowing us, and we have recently transitioned to this brand name. The company name still remains Photon Charge and Drive, and the Glida is our new brand name. So we presently have around 735 public charging points. Most of these are DC fast chargers, and these all are public charging points, not the home charging, or I would say captive charging points. So these are all located at public locations wherein we meet the requirement of mostly the fast charging, I'll say. But when we see, I would like to limit the discussions in the context of what we are discussing today is the electrification of goods transport. Now, one of the key differentiation which Tosh also has pointed out is that there is a marked difference in the requirement of charging of a goods transport with reference to a private transport. The point what he raised was the accessibility of those public charging points in malls or in those locations for trucks, LCVs, mid-size segment LCVs. Now, similar kind of challenge you will face in case of when you move out of the city. Right now, most of the public charging points which are being installed are at locations which are near some dhabas, some restaurants, those places. You won't find a commercial truck owner going to those places for their usual stoppage points. They will have some different stoppage points other than where the conventional car owner goes and stops, makes vehicles pit stops, I should say, intermediate car stops. So when we say that the same public charging infrastructure can it be utilized for charging of goods transport? Theoretically, yes, but practically when we see, challenges come in terms of two things. First is accessibility of that location for a goods vehicle, and second term is in the mindset of the people, whether we are going to accept that person in the car owner. Is the car owner ready to accept that as a cohabitant of the same facilities or the amenities area where his cars are getting stopped? That is one of the challenge which we feel is going to be or one of the challenges when we say sharing of the same public charging infrastructure or a fast charging infrastructure specifically between the cars and the goods segment. As far as any CPO's challenges or what makes this business grow or the challenges which stop it growing is definitely are the two things: land and the availability of the electricity connection. Now, this is where perhaps when we say or when we talk about that government has decided to develop this kind many highways as electric highways or green highways, with whatever terminology we use it, I think the role of the government comes in where along with the amenities, we can have a specified place where government brings in the infrastructure for charging. EV becomes an integral part. You provide parking space and power up to that point, and wherein charge point operators can be asked, multiple charge point operators can be put up. Like we have multiple outlets, amenity centers on express highways, where there would be controlled entry and exit points on highways. There are these on plug and play models. Such kind of facilities can be built up, and rest everything else can be taken care of by putting up the chargers, and then putting up multiple charge point operators should be enabled to participate there, so that market driven prices are available for each and everything, and that itself will be big. The key challenge which is faced normally on a highway the clock availability of power is not there. We are facing these challenges on some of the highways on which we have fast charging stations where the power is not available on 24/7 basis. Now that spoils the customer experience. When you go to a charging station, you can have storage backing up for one car, two car, but if the power outages are more than that, then perhaps this is one of the challenge which needs to be addressed by a charge point operator. Now, the challenge is not only in terms of, I should say, the availability of power, there are issues related to quality of power also. Like for some of the durations of the hour, the power is available only in single phase basis. So that's not good enough for suitable for fast charging. you will get power on a circuit on a feeder, but only single phase power is available for 8 hours. 8 hours only 3-phase power is available. So these are some of the challenges which for a charge point operator are bigger challenges rather than putting up a charging station in addition to getting the charging station. So when we talk about enablement of goods transport on corridors, whenever this traffic moves out the city, that is one of the biggest challenge we have to address. And if we have got some I should say plug and play amenities area, or whatever you can say, charging zones where people can power can be provided and land can be made accessible, if those corridors on these highways or those places are built up, that would be the first step to enable electrification of goods transport. At least that's my take on that.
Thank you very much for your inputs. Now I would request Mr. Ramendra Mohanji, who is Director Charge Zone. What is the biggest pain area as a charge point operator, your experience? And then how any thought over reducing the charging cost? And our experience was when you used to run our trucks, the cost was 22 rupees, 20 rupees across the highway. So can something be done to reduce the charging cost for the end consumer user? And any policy help you think can push this and improve the momentum of this electric mobility for trucks?
Thanks, ISGF. Thanks for a nice question. Am I audible?
Very much.
Okay. Now, can I just share a few slides which may or may not answer, but generally it could be repetition of what Reena has spoken, but it may be coming last because a lot of things I may have to repeat what already, because pain points are same across this. I'll just try to share something and see if it.
Please.
Have I started? Are you able to see my screen, sir?
Sir, we can see your screen. If you can make it in the full slide, like full screen.
I'll do that. Does it make sense? It's better?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It is, sorry, I may, like a broken record, repeat something, but since we have policymakers on the call, probably I like to put together what has been spoken and see how much as a group of CPUs we can convince. So this is, I think I'll just pass on. This is actually one of the photos of we have already put up, as we speak, around one in the city in BKC, super fast charging of 450 kilowatt, and the another 360 kilowatt between Chennai and Bangalore, where as you can see, bus, car, and the trucks do charge, because this has a 400 ampere gun, 500 ampere gun. Otherwise, there are 5 dispensers on this with a power unit. So this is the myth that where the driver goes, probably whole system will need some sort of rejuvenation or disruption as we think the business. The way business going on, we cannot change it, but the quality of drivers, etc., because now he has to be more agile to it, probably we'll have to relook and change some of the, see, whenever there is a disruption in the whole technology, a lot of old myths have to take backseat, and we should be prepared for it. Whether it is going to happen or not, jury is out and it will happen. Now, this is one of my founder director driving a truck himself, the Billion and Other platform, where we are trying to see. We want to actually drive it ourselves and see what exactly those drivers need. And as you see, every transition that you see doesn't happen in a year. It takes a decade or more for whole industry to buy in. And that is probably the thing that is, we have seen truck is just very nascent, about a year and a half to when Niti Oil conducted through WRI something when first we talk of e-fast and all. I think we are going through a transition, and the major issue is the appropriate vehicle which are not there to serve various. See, trucks are not used for one thing. Mid-mile, multiple uses are there. So still the whole OEMs are the ones which need to address this. See, what is it that we need India to push? A lot of it, and then this study has validated it. Sparse high capacity charging network. So we as Charge Zone, we are, as we speak today, we do have approval from our board. We are interested investors. We are trying to initiate a project equator where we already for cars and few of this high speed, we have put another one between Hyderabad and Vijayawada, which is around 660 kilowatt charging, 3 chargers, 2 into 240 and 1 into 180 kilowatt, which is charging the buses. And if right type of OEM puts a truck which can do mid-mile and all, probably that is the next. We have seen a lot of traction happening last year in 4-wheeler, in 3-tonners, 5-tonners, which is probably catching on now. More new players have come. Even existing one like Ashok Leyland, Tiki and all these, and some of the 3-wheelers are transitioning to 4-wheeler. And once that happens, probably next will be the mid-mile. So we have to take a decision as CPOs. Do we create supply and wait for demand, or let demand happen and create supply? See, my personal experience and my board experience, the people who are invested in, and we have more than 200 investors in Charge Zone, and we are about 6 years completed in the whole business, and we are a bit positive. And having said that, we started this thing, waited for demand and created supply. And to our surprise, when we started creating supply, demand started happening on highways. People are seeing number of car owners started taking the intercity journeys because they thought not only Charge Zone, Gilda, Tata Power, Charger, so if one is down, other is up. So that we have seen. So maybe in this case also, we may have to do something like that together as CPOs. Now, grid capacity is one, as one of the earlier journalists told. Now, this is where we look forward to government to do something on the infra. Yes, you are right. We are talking of rural infra. We are facing issues. But so far, we have been able to get 400 kilowatt, 500 kilowatt kVA of supply on highways this way. But I think time is not far when this might be refused. We had our first refusal for EV tariff in Hyderabad city for one of the mega hubs that we are trying. Then what else is there is why more? See, when demand has to gear up, are there right people? What is the cost? The trucking is a very cost sensitive thing compared to, in fact, we can buy still Audi and all if you have the money, just for sake of being green and all. But truck is the pure commercial business. Till battery and other costs in India come down and better financing method. These are the two things, maybe PLI scheme, how it rolls over 2025 and downward will exactly tell us, and jury is still out. I think somebody has stopped my screen share. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We cannot see your screen. Maybe you can reshare, sir.
Okay, but he says WebEx has stopped due to screen share is stopped in WebEx. Can you check up? And I'll reshare it.
Please reshare from your end.
Please reshare, sir. Yeah.
How do I stop it? Is it started?
Yeah.
We can see the screen, sir.
So, and then that is where these two areas where government and Tata's, my friend from Tata Power and all their sister companies have to get into and do something for India for us to really reap benefit of this. And so far, dependence on imports, and many of us who are not part of, if they are in the audience, I will request them, it is time to make these motors, powertrain, all this Indian, because that is where the cost will come down. And being a price sensitive market, it will be necessary. And now this is not, if you see whether government or private, if you compare to what has happened 2 decades overseas, how car has become popular is because of massive investment by car OEMs in chemistry, life, charging time, powertrain efficiency, battery, and battery swapping is one. I think IIT, I think again it goes up. I think I just skip it because I think something is stopping it.
So maybe you can share your presentation with us and we can share from our side.
You do have that much time? I'll send it to you. Whom should I send to Ashmia? Ashmia?
Yes, sir.
Ashmia, you got it? I'll WhatsApp to you. You want by email?
Yes, we
I
have.
would request we have a time limit because I have a 5:30 hard stop, so I'll have to leave.
Anand sir, maybe we can have the presentation in the end.
Can we do it
I'll
by
just complete my speaking and then probably answer
Yes.
your questions and then close it.
Yes.
That will be better.
please?
So similarly, policy and regulation, which we need to do it, and then awareness and perception, where probably ISGF, ICCT, Shakti Foundation, they are doing their work, and this particular pilot goes long way in establishing TCO, environment benefits, and to certain extent. Now, unfortunately, the truck chosen was GYT. So, how many really the multi operators will really understand? Questions will be CCS to what does it make a difference and all. So let us see how does it fare, but some skepticism around range. In demanding means road conditions, all of us have these things. So some of it, I tell you, this has really brought some awareness and perception. And the more industry talks about it in e-mobility, it will help. Model availability is another one which probably OEMs who are may not be there on this call need to do something and bring more models which can address each type of say if you are handling cement, you need different vehicle. If you are handling container, you need different chassis and all. So those need to be addressed, which are those products are not in the market and proven. So that is when, and then third thing where OEMs have to come out is, see, for trucks and all, they don't have to set up across the highways some sort of service network and after sale support. But being new technology or train those existing technicians like Maruti did 40 years back, when they tried to change whole thing from Ambassador Fiat to the Maruti. I think Maruti invested a lot into training their things and which afterwards helped building it up. Now there was similar sort of thing initiative have to be done by OEMs. Maybe there I request ISGF to get around these and conduct something because till you have this service network support, 100 kilometers from Hyderabad, something happens to my EV bus or EV truck, I cannot tow it. And there should be somebody available within 50 kilometers who can come and quickly, it could be simple wire. Nobody will know what it is. And we don't expect any major issues, but small, and all of us electrical, new technology and all. Or else also it will give that to e-mobility who has to deliver a parcel in a specific time limit, goods in a specific time limit. It becomes a lot of, confidence building. Yes, somebody is there. He may use or not. It take a time. So, and more of this pilot project we have done for two sector. Probably something has to be done for urban delivery, garbage, mining. Similar project need to be taken up by ISDF and people like this. And government has to encourage more of public-private partnership. Giving every charging infra in the bucket of public sector doesn't help. Because at the end today, after doing all that government did the carpet bombing. Today, like Gilda, Tata Power, all the people who are CPUs, some sort of successful who are today enabling this EV transition of four-wheeler, not probably the amount of investment done in public sector, what we have done as a private is the want, and that rethinking has to come in FAME 3 and all. Educational campaign, this is what I have to say. And your question was, what do we see? Anand, can you just repeat your question?
I would request you can bind it quickly because
It is over. My presentation is over.
Okay.
Now, have I addressed your question or is it still pending?
If you can do it quickly in a minute, and then we'll move on to the next speaker.
I think, hopefully, I think I answered your questions. If it is still left, then I'll ask you a question to you. If it is left,
So
then
we
you
can,
tell me.
come back. I mean, we'll open for the audience and we'll certainly come back to you. Thank you very much. Now I would go to Mr. Anshu Devan, who is CEO IX Energy. So the question to you is, being a OEM or manufacturer, how do you look at the retrofit market of the electric trucks, especially the bigger trucks? And what has been one of the bigger challenge?
Great. Thank you so much, Anand and Smart Grid, Reji sir, everybody. Thank you so much. And I'll be very brief in my comments for the paucity of time. So couple of things. So as a retrofitter, one of the challenges that we faced was that of a perception that yaar purani gaadi ko convert kar rahe hain. What will be the efficacy, the life and everything of the chassis. And one of the recent successes that we've had is that we've formed an association of retrofitters, and MHI is actually engaged with us to kind of study what we are doing. Because one of the benefits of retrofitting is that it falls in the paradigm of reduce, reuse, recycle, which is what all the impact investments talk about, which is a circular economy paradigm, right? तो अगर आप सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी की बात करते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं retrofits have to be integral part of the EV story in India. Scrap policy अगर आप इंडिया की देखें तो you'll realize that a significant number of vehicles are not being scrapped. They are being run in tier 2, tier 3 cities where they continue polluting, right? And if you go outside Delhi, Bombay, anyway, the life of a truck is legally up till 20 years. So our paradigm is कि at the end of their life, in terms of the artificial life of 10 years जो दिल्ली में impose होती है या बॉम्बे में होती है, we reach out to those vehicles, make them electric, and allow them to continue running for the next 15 years while they are they stop polluting and they start creating a lot of value. Because if we compare ourselves with the brand new EV, we are about 10 lakhs less in the same category, right? In the 6.5 ton category. तो एक तो ये है कि for any type of environmental or social change to happen in India, we have to be economically viable. And I think that is the one point I would like to emphasize for all, that if economics are in sync, e-rickshaw started plying in India, like you saw in Delhi in 2012. There were no incentives given. Heck, they were not even legal that time. But they started plying because economics was in sync, right? And that is what our forte or our focus is going to be, that we create something which generates significant economic value to the purchaser. That's one part. The challenges we basically have seen is that while there's a lot of talk about sustainability, we've signed up with the likes of Amazon, Nestle, ITC, who are asset light companies, and we have basically given our product as a service to them. So we're working with them directly or through service providers like Blue Wheels. And one of the challenges we are seeing is that they talk about sustainability a lot, but in terms of practice, they don't give any special preference, right? So pricing, chalo, they are giving the same price as diesel. That's fine. But in terms of loading and unloading, for example, I'll give you with ITC, we are able to load only one, like to make only one trip a day. Now with EVs, if you are not sweating the asset, then you're not going to be able to recoup the additional capex that you've invested in, right? So agar ek change, if there's one change that we could ask government to do, is that it should force some of these larger companies that at least 15 to 20% of the freight movement, at least in the last mile or mid-mile category should be through electric vehicles. Now, when that happens, automatically at the operational level, they'll have dedicated docks for EVs, where the loading and unloading will be done faster, so that we can at least have 2 to 3 loads per day. Bas yehi kar de, so that becomes one thing. Acha, agar and if one more thing, so we are engaged with Telangana government, and they ask give me one ask from your side which will suddenly accelerate the adoption of EVs. So I basically told them ki, like, in Delhi, for example, if you could allow EVs to enter in the no entry times, that one thing alone could significantly, get a lot of adoption for EVs, because it is a big pain point for a lot of the transporters, right? They stand outside Delhi for a few hours every day before they're allowed to enter at 11 p.m., right? So, a few small things, if that can be done, that will really make the push for EVs happen at a ground level, right? That's all I wanted to say. One final thing, if time permits, is certifying agencies. ARAI has very sort of obtuse laws regarding certifications. अगर हमने 15 टन की या 5 टन की ट्रक को कन्वर्ट कर दिया, तो दे मेक इट वेरी स्पेसिफिक की टाटा की 407 की LPT मॉडल blah blah blah. Why can't they say that all trucks in the 5 to 6 ton category are covered? That, if they could do, that gives us a lot of flexibility, and saves a lot of time and money. So that's it. I hope Anand have answered.
Maybe we can talk about the toll. Yes, very much.
और एक टोल का भी अगर हमें कुछ exemption मिल जाए कि electric vehicles में it becomes toll free or subsidized toll for 2-3 years, then that also will accelerate the adoption.
Right. Thank you very much for your short and crisp inputs. So now I would move towards Priyadarshini Alok from Shakti Sustainable Energy Foundation. So before I ask you a question, I would want to extend my thanks, a big thank you to Shakti in believing in us and having that, showing the patience of those 11th hour when we got the truck. And we really waited for the truck to come, and it was like waiting for rain. It will come, and it did not come for months. And then we could finish the pilot. So my question to Priyadarshini is that Shakti has funded more such studies in different regions in India. So if you can tell us that what was your experience with them, and then what was the outcome?
We have been knowledge partner with other organizations, and like the Northern Corridor, we have been supporting and being a knowledge partner with Western, Southern, as well as Eastern Corridor. This was the first project which was completed, and rest are still ongoing projects. But to answer your question, what are the key findings? One is for the Eastern Corridor, we had a pilot run, but since electric vehicles, or rather electric trucks, are still in the nascent stage, so basis the pilot, we understood that there are certain technical glitches that needs to be resolved at the battery management system level, at the OEM level, which basis the pilot helped us understand. From the Western Corridor, we are still trying to find the vehicle which can, because that's an ongoing project, but the challenge is to find a vehicle and as well as the load, as well as the feasibility and everything to get the pilot done. For the Southern Corridor, the pilot is still ongoing. The results are not out yet, but the results of only Eastern Corridor was out, and to which I explained. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And now I would come back to Anshu saying thank you for being quick and then helped us doing the pilot in time. Now I would request Mr. Mrityunjay Sharma, who is from Niti Aayog. Are there any new policy initiatives being considered to further support the electrification of trucks? And mostly, how do Delhi is looking at this policy? And then helping other this stage. I mean, I'm sure that several inputs have come from other panelists also. So what is your take, and then what is your preparation? I have also heard that there is a single window clearance that is being thought of. So, and please, over to you, Mrityunjay.
Hi Anand, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So since I have been kept last for this panel discussion, I presume I have two jobs: one to answer your question, another to listen to all the panelists that they had for the policymakers.
All the pain areas, especially, so that you don't miss any of that. Thank you.
Yeah, I took that hint, and I have prior to answering your question, I have noted down a few points that I'd like to highlight. 1 to 2. First one is, in this panel discussion, we had not invited people from finance sector. Number one, I think we don't have anyone from finance. Then battery manufacturer, since one of your challenges was batteries. Then from battery swapping ecosystem, and that particular part has not been explored throughout the report as well. You have explored charging, fast charging, but not swapping. And I was just through WhatsApp, I have tried sharing the meeting link with one of Sun Mobility CEO, Mr. Pramod Sharma. He was occupied somewhere, otherwise he would have joined just now. So they are very keen on, growing into the e-buses and e-trucks segment. Then they have
Mr.
a person.
I have just joined while you were taking my name. I've just joined.
So welcome.
Hi, Pramod. Hello.
Hi.
So I was just mentioning how important you are to the ecosystem. Okay? And yes, absolutely. And though that's not the topic of this discussion, but another discussion could engage on how charging, both fast and swapping, could also benefit the e-trucking ecosystem. Then we have not explored in the report up at the end what happened to the vehicles after they were used for a certain duration, change in their battery health, change in their vehicle health, because that is also a price concern. It's an economic concern, especially for financiers, because they have certain risk to take on a new kind of vehicle that has not been tested yet. I'll share with you my thought process of why I'm saying this, because we have held numerous stakeholder discussions with trucking companies as part of our eFast initiative, and all the financiers share a common concern that this business model is not time tested. This product is not time tested. It has certain technological risks. Okay? Considering those technological risks, incorporating those into the findings of the report, or maybe another report or another pilot, would help in understanding whether the degradation is more than usual or more than expected or less than expected. That would give a great relief to the financiers. Then an aspect of upper gender was also missing, considering that e-trucks are slightly easier to run. They don't have upper gear-based challenges. So is there any change in our behavior? As in, do they get more rest? Is there a fatigue low? Do they get more rest time? That is, though not economical, but still it has a certain degree of influence over the driver. What is he willing to drive more? An electric vehicle or a diesel-based vehicle? That also impacts the kind of people the company would hire. Maybe the pay scale would go up and low. The economics would fall into place accordingly. So these are 3 to 4 points that I have noted down. Now, after coming to the question of policy changes. So at eFast, NITI manages more than 50 initiatives in the EV domain. And what we started doing was we noted down niche segments that require electrification, and that would help us meet our net zero targets easily. One of them was Shunya, which was targeted at fleet electrification for our delivery services. That is one of the initiatives. Then one is eFast. Now eFast targets those trucks which have a higher capacity. Shunya is for fleet delivery, Amazon and other ecosystems. Similarly, we have numerous initiatives, and you are absolutely on point. Even within the FAME and other schemes that are in place, trucks will be a big part of our plan now. We have been sharing we have been sharing up targets that we have to go by 25,000 trucks by the end of March of next year. Okay, we are in talks with companies so that they can deploy vehicles on a vehicle as a service model. And again, that requires, few days ago, I was in the process of preparing a plan for the financing agencies like SIDBI and other agencies financing, and financiers need to do a technical analysis. A technical analysis from your pilot study would be an absolute, a gold mine for the financing team. Okay? Any more questions, please?
Thank you, and we have almost on time, not yet ended. So I would request if anybody has any question from audience, then we have a couple of minutes and then we'll wind up. Thank you for your wonderful input. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
we have a set of questions prepared in our presentation. So we'll be sharing the screen for that.
Yes,
just one small thing. Since
Please
Mr. Pramod Sharma joined, do keep in mind to invite him from the next meetings.
Definitely, we missed, but next time we'll not miss this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please.
Thank you, sir.
What will be the role of hydrogen in this initiative? Anybody who would want to take this question from the panel?
I can answer quickly that we've been in touch with Tata and Ashok Leyland. They are being agnostic. They are saying we are working on both. We have seen the prototypes also, and they are saying that for longer distances, most likely hydrogen may be preferred because for them, combustion technology is something they're very familiar with. So combustion hydrogen would be in the longer distance, and shorter distances EVs. But that's at least the current thought.
Okay, great. So moving to the next question, why don't we use plug-in hybrid transport vehicles rather than electric trucks? As the cost of electric truck would be high, this will ensure less time of charging and also reduce emissions. Any takers for this?
Can I take that because we are doing hybrids? We've already gotten an order from Telangana.
Okay. Yes, that
buses.
That will help.
So we are converting them, and the question is 100% spot on. A lot of these are buses which are going from the city all the way to the rural areas. Total distance is 300 plus kilometers a day. And in that setup, there is no possibility of having any kind of charging system in the rural areas. So they are dependent on diesel buses for the long run. Just as we speak, they're ordering 2,000 new diesel buses in Telangana because of this segment. So a hybrid solution is actually good. We are doing a complete hybrid. It's not a plug-in hybrid right now because again, charging infrastructure is limited. So it's a self-contained hybrid. And at about 11 lakh rupee cost, we are giving them in fuel improvement of about 20%, 18 to 20%. So in terms of economics, it is amazing. And I have been advocating this to MHI also, that we should be agnostic to the technology, be it hybrid or be it electric. Everything should be encouraged as long as it's reducing carbon. It is moving in the right direction.
Okay. Parul, any other question? You see, it's only two or we have more? We have more. Cannot existing petrol pumps not serve as EV chargers? I meant their land and they have power connections. Yes, please. Go ahead. Yes, please.
The issue is there are twofold.
Anand, I like to add here. All the fuel stations have electricity connection, but that is only few kilowatt for their lighting and petrol pump operation, etc. And there's a cap by PESO, Petroleum some Safety Organization, PESO. So fuel station cannot have a high voltage more than many of this electric vehicle operated 700 volt, 800 volt, and all that. So they cannot give anything more than 240 volt. And that's another problem. So all our 240 kilowatt charger, and they all operate at different ampere and voltage, which are not approved by PESO. So I tried interacting with them a couple of years ago, then I have given up because fuel station people also See, fuel station में इतना revenue है, even in semi-urban area, in a fuel station, uh, one after the other vehicles coming within 5 minutes, they fill and go. And every person filling oil pay 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, etc. इधर तो एक गाड़ी 2 hours you park it and charge it, what you get revenue is 500 rupees or 200 rupees. In the same time, from one gun of petrol or diesel, they will be making a lakh of rupees. So those fellows will, they know that in the long term this all get phased out. So they have to have an alternate business model. They are doing it, but we cannot have buses and truck chargers which are inside a fuel station. It has to be have some separation, safety point of view. You can't have a 240 kilowatt or 500 kilowatt chargers in inside fuel station.
I mean, for the peso thing, I also have a very interesting observation. Then earlier, they didn't allow us to use mobile on the premise. They said that don't use the mobile. Now they are saying that you can pay through Paytm or Google Pay. So can we see the same transformation in terms of usage of electricity also?
So there is a mandate by the government for setting up the chargers, but primarily those chargers are being used for the 4-wheeler, 2-wheeler. And we also have installed some of the chargers at IOCL or HPCL petrol pumps. And government has also given them the mandate to have at every charger in certain time frame. And you know that the couple of these oil marketing companies are also operating as CPOs. So they would come up, but this voltage level and the peso requirement. So peso is a mandatory requirement even for all the 11 kV connection for their setting up that normal. Even in rural areas, any connection you take more than 10, 12 kilowatt, you need to set up a 11 kV substation. So in that case, I think that should not be a big of challenge. But yes, for the truck and bus, there might be a space requirement, maybe more, or some additional requirement may come up through peso. But I'm sure in days to come, this will definitely get developed over a period of time.
I mean, I hope some clarification should come from Niti in this regard. This is like discussed questions in the last couple of months or maybe 2 years. Now over to you, Ravindraji, if you can quickly answer.
I generally agree what Mr. Reji told. The second thing is, see, a few of these only petrol pumps have, a good place where people can pass that 1.5 hours. And a very few on highways and all. Maybe out of some 500, one may be there. So that is where, as Mr. Reji told, is so much being used, so much paying, nobody has interest. We have been talking for months together with IOCL, with JV and all. But as my friend told, they have 11 kV, all that was there, but then somehow, that head office could not push it to the retail, and somewhere it is still there, but not their situation.
I can
And the whole issue is, as far as truck, the bus brings a lot of people. That becomes another safety issue for these petrol pumps. Truck may be possible, but there are not enough OEMs who are running it where people see some business. The issue is, and what Mr. Reji, between these two, but enough EV trucks fly and they see some sort of revenue. Nobody can invest this money and wait for something to happen after 6 months, 1 year, when number of those buses with so many people disembarking, there's nothing proper to eat, what they do for 40 minutes, 30 minutes. So that is why, high power charging stations had these things. Today, another couple of years, 3 years, when we have better models, and I think Mr. Bitunjay can say they must be having more insight into what government is trying to do to e-fast and all. But you are right, all oil companies have been asked to do it, but these are the few roadblocks that we talk of, which is not making it happen.
Okay, thank you. So our last question is, what will be the battery capacity after 2-3 years? Whether it will remain same, how much it may deteriorate? Is there any development happening in enhancing battery life? I see it as a next research project, but over to the panel, if somebody can answer it.
Yeah, let me take this. See, the capacity is not going to change because in this goods transport vehicle or the buses and all, we need to understand that certain weight, either like the whole powertrain carries some weight. Now, either you can carry goods or you can carry batteries. Now, a weight has been identified. If the technology develops, you can pack more power than a kilowatt per cubic meter, centimeter square or meter square. You can have more. That is all is happening. And after 2-3 years, I think in India, overseas, the life of battery, and Mr. Anshu and Call say they must have more idea because they are more touch with the OEMs. I think
Chandra,
technology is stable.
I can
Yeah,
quickly answer it.
technology is stable.
There's
And
3,500
people need not
cycles.
worry.
There's 3,500 cycles in a typical lithium-ion pack, and depending on the number of discharges you do on a daily basis, it will obviously reduce. And as soon as it hits 80% of state of health, that's when we have to discard it for non-automotive purposes. Yes. So that's the gist. So the life depends on the number of charge-discharge cycles, the kind of temperature abuse it's seen. We put a lot of technology in making sure the BC, the battery cooling system, is top notch, because that will be a big factor in killing the battery life should that go out of boundary conditions. So that's the small gist of this question. Sounds.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is, with H2, are we using fuel cell technology?
Let me take that again. Tata, Ashok Leyland, both are agnostic. They are saying we are doing fuel cell fuel cell based EVs, as well as combustion hydrogen. So they're looking at both, and whichever will be viable and whatever the market accepts, they're going to go with that.
Okay, I think we have done all the questions. Parul? Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you to our eminent panelist and Anand sir for this very detailed discussion. I would now like to request all the panelists to turn on their cameras, and Reena ma'am and Reggie sir as well, for a group picture. We will quickly be taking a group picture. Reggie sir? Reena ma'am, please turn on your camera.
She's there.
Okay. Okay, I think we have got the picture. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We have posted the links for a quick poll on the chat box, so requesting participants to, before leaving, kindly visit on the links and share your feedback with us. And for the vote of thanks, I would now like to invite Mr. Reggie Kumar Pillai for the same. Sir is occupied. Sir is occupied in between. So
Yeah, I hope we had a very engaging discussions, covered overall electric mobility challenges in the intercity or highway, expressway, freight corridor. But good point is that there is consensus that this is an important area which we need to push for faster development. And I hope all of you have seen some new set of EV charging rules issued by Ministry of Power, the draft rules issued on 1st of this month, and by 30th or 31st we have to all give comments. So those who have not seen, collect that from Anand. Everybody give comments so that some of the important things happens. So one of the main problem in 2022 November, is going to be 2 years, we published a white paper about increasing the connection, LT connection to 200 kilowatt. So ministry's new rule says that everywhere LT connection should be increased up to 150 kilowatt. There are only 7 states which are giving more than 100 kilowatt, and at least half of the states is less than 50 kilowatt. So what charging operation can you do when the LT connection is less than 50 kilowatt, and today every charger is going to be much higher than that capacity. So similarly, there are ministry has asked for 150, and let us all ask for 200. DISCOM should be able to give that. And now we have this program going on, RDSS. So I've been telling all DISCOMs, including our distribution utility meet as well as ISUW, grid upgradation when you plan today, not just plan from the perspective of your regular load growth. Look at where are the places where EV charging operations are going to happen. Bus depots, the new bus program is going to have thousands of bus depots where megawatt scale power connection need to be given. So look at from that perspective and ask for money from RDSS. So now RDSS program, which is currently running, grid upgradation, they are giving money, but unfortunately most places the DPR which is coming for those grid strengthening, which is a component 2 of RDSS, they're completely oblivious of this activity happening at such faster pace. So the another area where much bigger growth going to happen is the cooling load. The temperature has gone already above 50 degrees centigrade. Nobody can live without cooling. Every person. So cooling and EV charging load need to be added to the grid enhancement programs, and those money, fortunately, from the RDSS, they should, all the DISCOM should ask for it, which we have been talking. And the slides which Reena presented will be shared with all the registered participants today.